Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on managing your time to increase productivity and sales. Start again. Testing. Where'd he go? We have 20 seconds so far. See that at the top.
That's correct. Not coming through phone. We're using the phone channel.
Gary.
Typing audio difficulty to reach. Numbers have been 310-356-1948 with a speaker code of 442207. Yes.
Testing.
Maybe it's me. Just ask for some feedback.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Okay, it's me. We're good.
It's him. He's saying yes.
We're good.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on managing your time to increase productivity and sales. I'm Alan Rosenberg, the web coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County. I'll be your host. Our presenter today is John Kennedy. More about John in a moment. First, some brief information on SCORE. SCORE has 320 offices, over 11,000 volunteers, and was started in the mid-'60s as part of the Small Business Administration. Locally, at SCORE Fairfield County, we have over 100 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, subject matter experience. We offer 3 primary value-added services to small business owners at no charge. one on the counseling, and that's face-to-face, telephone, email, or Skype. Second is our educational workshops and webinars such as today. Third is extensive resources on our website, including a network of subject experts at your disposal. Our next webinar is on Tuesday, January 23rd, where Bud Furin and Bob Hogan will present Balance Marketing, Digital Marketing and Building Personal Relationships. Look for the specifics on fairfieldcounty.score.org. Some useful information on today's webinar. We have set aside time for questions and answers at the end of John's presentation. If you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. It's located in the lower left part of your screen. Our webinar will end sharply at 1 o'clock to respect our time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, within a couple of days. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, John Kennedy. John has a wide range of business development experience across all sizes of business. He loves to help businesses grow and help people clarify and achieve their goals. Most recently, John was a partner of business development at Lippincott, a leading global brand strategy, design, and innovation firm. Prior to that, he was senior vice president within Worldwide, a strategic research-based consulting firm where he led the New York office. It's now my turn, and John, it's all yours.
Great, thank you, Alan. Hello and Happy New Year, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Hello and Happy New Year, everybody. I can't think of a better time than early January to improve and address a key area that impacts our lives and our businesses, such as time management. You know, when you think of it, time is really the most universal and democratic small d of assets. Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos have exactly the same amount of time as you and I. So kudos to you, and thanks for taking the time to join our session today. Just to get the webinar going, and so I know who's on the phone, if you could type in what types of businesses do we have on the webinar today? Just type in so I can see it and address. It could be, you know, whatever you're the business that you're in. If you could just type in the types of businesses we have on the phone today. Consulting, architects, great. Personal training, real estate, okay, great. Professional organized, seniors, semi-retired, okay. Nonprofit, excellent. Okay, great. A wide range. That's terrific. As Alan said, we're going to talk for 45 to 50 minutes, leaving time for some Q&A. How bad would it be if the time management guy goes overtime? So we're going to stick to the time. So the premise today is that time management is a mindset. Yes, there are tools and techniques, and we're going to address some of those today, but really also want to focus on how to evolve your thinking, evolve your mindset to make you more productive and effective and to make you more money. We're going to cover a lot of ground today, and I considered it like a smorgasbord of time management. There's a theme here, but if I leave you with one or two key nuggets to think about, I'll consider this time a success. So we're going to talk about a little bit of the psychology of time management. We're going to talk about key results areas and SMART goals, because time management is all about achieving goals, prioritizing time, and tackling that nemesis of ours, procrastination, and leave you with some summary action and some thoughts. Okay. Now, there we go. Who's behind some of the material we'll cover today? Does any of the folks on the phone know of Brian Tracy? He is a leading personal development and business success guru. He's the founder of my company called Focal Point. Does anybody know Brian? he's in the realm of a Stephen Covey, a Tony Robbins. I'm just curious if people have known him. Oh, Deborah Roberts. He's amazing. He certainly is. So a lot of the stuff we'll cover today, not all of it, is Brian's information. I am a certified Focal Point business coach, and I run the Focal Point office in Fairfield County. And we cover things like clarity of strategic vision and productivity, sales, and leadership. So the first thing I want to talk about and address is time management really is life management. You know, a lot of the time, a lot of us feel overwhelmed with the demands of our jobs and our personal lives, and we might find ourselves working harder today than ever before and getting less done with less satisfaction and enjoyment from what we do. And I want to say that the starting point of good time management is realizing that time management is really life management. It's the way that we take care of our most precious gift, which is time. And the quality of life is largely determined by the quality of our time management. And another interesting aspect of time, it's inelastic. You know, you can't stretch it. People say, oh, let me stretch this hour. You can't. Time is indispensable. All work and accomplishment requires it. It's irreplaceable. There's no substitute for it. And once time, it can't be saved, preserved, or stored. Once it's gone, it is gone forever. You know, if everyone agrees that really good time management is so important and desirable, why is it that so few people can be described as well organized and time effective? And there's really three keys to it. The first myth of time management, or negative belief, is that if you are too well organized, you become cold and calculating, and I'll lose my creativity if I'm too planned. Turns out not to be true at all. A lot of people hide behind this false idea, and they often suffer a good deal of stress for it. The second myth is one of kind of negative mental programming. The barrier being, the second barrier for developing excellent time management skills is negative programming, often from how we're brought up, but also from other influential people when we're growing up. If we've developed bad time management habits, like any other bad habit, we can unlearn them. We can replace them with good habits over time, and that has been proven over and over again. And a third mental barrier to good time management skills is kind of a negative self-concept, or what's called self-limiting beliefs. You know, nobody is born with a genetic deficiency in personal organization. Your personal behaviors and how you manage your time are very much under your own control. So I want to share very quickly 10 principles of effective time management. We can share this deck, and there's some worksheets that would go through this deck and you can use in your own time. The first principle is time management enables you to increase the value of your contribution. That self-esteem comes from the knowledge that you are putting more into your life and work than you're taking out. In other words, good time management enables you to greatly improve your ability to contribute more and more value to whatever you're doing. Second principle is your rewards, both financial and tangible and intangible, will always be equal to the value of your service to other people, reaping and sowing. The more you put in, the more you get out. If you want to increase the quality and quantity of your rewards, you need to seek ways to increase the value of your service. This is very much under your control. Principle 3, good time management requires that you see yourself as a factory. And like a factory, there are phases of production to a factory. One main difference between highly effective people and people who seek to produce very little is that top performers always focus on output or results, and then average performers focus on inputs. And top performers focus on accomplishments. Medium or low performers focus on more of activities. Principle 4, everything you accomplish or fail to accomplish depends on your ability to use your time to its best advantage. Your levels of achievement in every area are determined by your ability to think through and to apply the best time management techniques available to you, and that's what we're here to share today. Number 5, the practice of time management skills develops judgment, foresight, and self-discipline. These are qualities of leadership and character. It's time management that enables you to get the things done, and your ability to accomplish the tasks that are assigned to you is the chief measure of your value at your company. A lot of you are self-employed and to your company and to your world. Number 6, a focus on time management focuses you to be intensely results-oriented. Being result-orientation is a key quality of human beings. Our ability to focus single-mindedly on the most important results required of you is the fastest and surest way to get paid and promoted faster. Number 7, time management enables you to work smarter, not just harder. Many people who are less successful, they actually work harder. They work more hours than successful people, but they produce less in the hours they work because they don't have good time management skills. Number 8, good time management is a source of energy, enthusiasm, and a positive mental attitude. There's Brian Tracy's curriculum in a nutshell, in that the more productive you become, the more positive you feel about yourself, and as you see yourself accomplishing more and more, you actually experience a flow of additional energy that enables you to accomplish more. Number 9, as you grow as a person, in direct proportion to the demands that you place upon yourself. And the self-discipline of time management builds character, confidence, and a sense of accomplishment. And lastly, number 10, right now, this minute, as you're joining this webinar, is all the time that you have. That's all we have. So if you manage yourself minute by minute, the hours and days will take care of themselves. And the more tightly you manage your time, the more guaranteed you are that it will translate into a great life full of power and worthwhile accomplishments. Now, okay, we've covered some of the basics. Let's talk about goal setting. Clarity of goals, key results areas, and goal setting themselves. Brian Tracy's curriculum suggests that the lack of clarity is more responsible for frustration and underachievement than any other single factor. And most of you are in businesses for yourselves, and you might want to just question 1, ask yourself in a worksheet. You can think about this after the webinar. Why do I have this company? Why am I in this business? Why did I set to do this on my own? What do I want to accomplish? And secondly, what are my key results areas? A key result area, or KRA, is defined as something for which you are completely responsible. It means, and a lot of you are sole practitioners, it means if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. And a key result area is an activity that is under your control. For example, if you're in management of your companies, a key result area of management are planning, strategic planning, organizing, staffing, delegating, supervising, measuring, and reporting. Many of you do all of these yourselves. These are the results that a manager must get to succeed in his area of responsibility. If you have salespeople, prospecting, opening new accounts is a key result area. This is the key to the entire sales process. So it's really key to know, A, why you're in business in the first place and what your key result areas are in terms of step 1 of good time management. We talked about setting goals and clarity of goals. And goal setting is really critical to effective time management. One of our clients came to us and said, you know what, I really want to go to my kids' soccer games. It can be done. Goal setting can be used in every single area of our lives, including financial, physical, personal development, relationships, even spiritual goals. Setting goals puts us way ahead of the pack, and as Brian Tracy says, success is goals, everything else is commentary. Well, let's talk about goals. We like to set SMART goals, and there are 5 characteristics that distinguish a goal from a wish, and they can be captured in the acronym of SMART. Number 1, specific. Success coach Jack Canfield states, vague goals produce vague results. If you want to achieve a goal, be very, very clear about exactly what you want. 2, make it measurable. It's crucial for goal achievement that you're able to track your progress towards your goal. That's why all goals need some form of objective measuring system so you can stay on track and become motivated when you enjoyed the reward of a quantifiable progress. Third, it has to be aligned with the values. If you achieve a goal by compromising your values, it's a hollow win indeed. You don't want to achieve your goal but have your inner peace destroyed in the process. And fourth, it has to be realistic. It has to be perceived by you as realistic. Fifth, it has to be time-bound. Without setting deadlines for your goals, you have no real compelling reason or motivation to start working on them. And by setting a deadline, your subconscious mind begins to work on that goal night and day. And it could be any areas of your life, all interconnected. Financial independence, which goes with business success, health and fitness, and family and relationships, depending on what you want out of your life. Again, another exercise you can use, after this session is writing down 2 professional goals, writing each goal in the first person, and writing each goal in the present tense. I have already attained this, as you have already attained the goal. As just another tact. So before we've talked about goals, we've talked about setting SMART goals. Then there's all goals are not created equal, and it's time for us to talk about setting priorities. Before beginning to think about priorities, we need a time planning system that contains everything to plan and organize your life. And the best time planners enable you to plan for the year, the month, the week, and the day, as well as setting just daily reports. Now, there's a ton of stuff out there, paper, electronic, all kinds of gadgets to track time. But the truth is, it almost doesn't matter what time management system or planner you decide to use, because these days most planners contain everything you need. The most important part of any time planning system is that you use it regularly, over and over, until it becomes a habit, because it takes a certain amount of time to master a system, but once you learn it, it becomes part of your daily existence. The next part of time planning system is a daily list. And this daily list is probably the single most important time planning tool you can have, and it's where we'll spend a lot of our time. Many simply call it a to-do list. Great. And there isn't a time management system on the planet that can help you if you have no goals or sense of priority for those goals. I say on the bottom there is using block calendars. That is simply making work appointments with yourself and then the discipline to keep them. So the client that wanted to go to his kid's soccer game, he needs to block that out. Block time to think. Block time for the things that are most important to you. Because the key to success in this method of working in specific time segments, block time segments, is for you to plan your day in advance. And that requires a commitment from you to work at scheduling times on large tasks for your own KRAs, key results areas. And we have found that this method is extremely useful in keeping you directed and focused from being pulled in sideways or backwards directions by other responsibilities that are always at clamoring for our time. Okay, I want to advance the slide here. Good. More about prioritizing time, and again, our ability to set priorities among our goals and our KRAs, our tasks and activities is really the key to personal effectiveness, and that's not so easy to do. And there are many ways to approach time prioritization, and I want to cover 3 or 4 of them with you today. One principle that I'm sure we're all aware of setting priorities is to apply the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, to every part of your life and work. And according to the principle, 20% of what you do will account for 80% of the value of all that you do. So if you have a list of 10 things to work on in the beginning of the day, 2 of those things are going to be more valuable and important to you than all the others put together. So your job is to determine the top 20% of tasks before you begin that day. Again, here's just a worksheet you can use after the session, is making a list of every of your typical daily occurrences, events, and tasks in no order, and then check those that drive 80% of the value, and then how you can flip it and spend 80% of your time on those high-value activities that you can work on your own after the session. Another approach to prioritization, and this is brought into the mainstream by Stephen Covey in the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is the urgent important matrix, which is a very, very powerful way of organizing tasks based on priorities. And the upper left quadrant, urgent and important, those are activities that relate to dealing with critical issues as they arise and meeting significant commitments. They need to be done now. And important but not urgent, these are success-oriented tasks that are critical to achieving goals. They need to be done next. The urgent, the lower left, urgent but not important, these tasks don't move you forward to your goals or your company's goals. Manage by delaying them, cutting them short, rejecting requests from others, postpone these chores. These are maintenance things or routine tasks that can be done at another time. And the lower right quadrant, not urgent, not important, these are trivial interruptions that should be avoided at all costs if possible. Now, it's important to note not to mislabel things like family and fitness in this category if they are important to you and things that you want to achieve. Let's cover yet another prioritization technique, and you can use the one that works best for you, is called the ABCDE method, which is another powerful priority setting technique that you can use every single day. And the beauty of this method really is in its simplicity. A is defined as something that is very, very urgent, that can be important. This is something that you must do, similar to the other. This is a task that can be serious consequences if you do or fail to do it. A B is the task that you should do. It's urgent but not important. C is an item that would be nice to do, but for which there are no consequences at all, whether you do it or not. Oh, maybe having coffee or lunch or with a coworker or completing some personal business during work hours. D is something defined as something you can delegate to if you can. Another example to way to look at these things is if you only do the tasks that are commensurate with your dollar per hour value. In other words, don't waste time on a $10 hour tasks when you should be doing the $50 hour tasks. For something to how to track that. And an E item is something that you should eliminate altogether. It won't make any real difference. Often it's something you continue to do out of habit or because you enjoy it. Playing games on the computer. But it's also important to know that schedule some break times. So schedule on your blocked calendar break times for yourself where you can kind of it's okay to check Facebook. It's okay to check Twitter, but make it so that you plan for taking those breaks. Another worksheet on the ABCD method is making a list of every single thing you did yesterday, and just from memory, and then assign A, B, C, D, or E to it. And that might surprise you, illuminate you how you spend your time. And finally, yet another method is what I call the productivity pyramid, which really can help identify and focus on spending time doing your highest value activities. And at the tip of the pyramid there is high lifetime value, like building relationships, creating systems, supporting health, learning and development, creating new markets or opportunities. Next is high dollar per hour activities. Again, these are things that ring the cash register and bring in sales, making that sales call, calling that contact you met at the networking event last week. Then there are low dollar per hour activities, busy work, administration, still need to get done, but put it in a time where it's not as productive time, responding to emails, for example. And then there's, again, the zero or negative value, like, worrying about stuff or idle chatter or kind of most news or social media. Okay to kind of take a break and relax with it, but don't make it part of your daily routine. And as we move here, we are human beings, after all, and we're all, guilty of procrastination to some degree. And I just want to give a few tips of how to tackling procrastination. I mean, we all do it. We find that the ability to overcome procrastination and tackle the most important actions that have the biggest positive impact are really the hallmark of the most successful people in the world today. And, our module says that procrastination is it's a thief. It's a parasite of time and also adds stress and anxiety. Now, we've all done it. When, I'll do the paper, and, I get more creative at the last moment. Well, it doesn't work that way. And it's hard. It takes courage and self-discipline to break the habit of procrastination. But it's worth it, because by overcoming procrastination, becoming a more focused and effective person, you'll accomplish more than you can imagine today and earn more. And there's a lot of reasons why we procrastinate. We're human after all. I'm not going to go into a big deal of it. A lot of times there's no clear deadline, and, you don't have the resources. I'll put that off, or I don't know where to begin, or, it feels too big or overwhelming, and I don't know where to start, and I just don't want to do it, right? It's cleaning the oven. I have no interest or passion for doing the work, and I don't want to fail. I don't want to succeed. There's a lot of reasons for why people procrastinate. But here are kind of 7 kind of tricks. When you find yourself procrastinating, here are some ways to kind of get on with it. One is eliminate. One is, what are the consequences? Think of what are the consequences of not doing the task at all. Again, we talked about the 80-20 rule or the E and the ABCD method. Maybe it doesn't need to be done in the first place. Easy way to get it off the list. 2 is delegate it if you can. If the task is important, ask yourself, is it really something that you are or should be doing in the first place? Can it be delegated or given to someone else that can do it just as well? And if it's not a KRA and it can be delegated effectively to somebody, get rid of it. Hand it off. 3rd, just do it. Postponing, do it now. Postponing a task that needs to be done only creates feeling of anxiety. I got to get to that. I got to get to that. Do it early in the day as you can, and just have a sense of urgency about it. 4, ask for advice. Ask for it from a colleague, a spouse, a coach, expert can give you some insight on where to start and how to get it done. Then there's the 15-minute rule. We've heard of the 5-minute rule. This is the 15-minute rule. So to reduce the temptation of procrastination, each step in a project should take no more than 15 minutes. And if it gets more than that, then you need to address how to get it done. 6, have a clear deadline. Give yourself a deadline. Assign yourself a deadline for projects and milestones, and write it down in your date planner and make your deadline known. And 7, if you have a project that you're procrastinating on, give yourself a reward, whatever it is, a cookie, a drink of scotch at the end of the day, whatever. But celebrate some project milestone, just to provide some positive motivation and just to get it done. And, Brian Tracy wrote the book on this, and in a study after study of people that get paid more and rise faster, the quality of this action orientation stands out as kind of one of the most observable and consistent behavior they demonstrate in everything they do. And really, it's Mark Twain's quote is, if you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the ugliest one first. And, it's another way of saying, if you have 2 important tasks, start at the start of the day. Start with the biggest and the hardest one. Discipline yourself to begin immediately, and then just get it done. The Nike had a great campaign. Just do it, and it's a discipline. So how many of us, handle paper multiple times? I'm guilty of it, or, fiddle around with email several times. And just here are some quick tips on the 4 Ds for handling a single piece of paper or email once, again, which is a real boon to time management. And there are 4 things that you can do with any piece of paper or email, and remembering some of these can be made easier when you think of the 4 Ds. One is just do it. You can take action, take personal action on the piece of paper. These are letters, proposals, messages that you must do something about. If it's not that important, just get a file folder and put the word action on the tab, an action folder. And even better, get a red file folder where you put all your action items that you can see them clearly of what you need to do. 2 is delete it. One of the best, throw it away. One of the best time management tools of the office is the wastebasket. Ask yourself, if I didn't read this, would be any negative consequences? No, I personally am kind of a pack rat. Oh, I'm going to need this next week. I just know it. But in most cases, it's the rule for a workplace, keeping a workplace clean and neat is, when in doubt, throw it out. 3 is defer. File it for future reference, manually or electronically if you're a pack rat. File it away if it's not urgent, but before you file anything, remember that 80% that are filed are never needed. Here's a good reminder for all of us. 80% are never needed or used again, but sometimes we use them as a crutch. And if there are no negative consequences or very little would happen if you get the information somewhere else, then throw it away or delete it. And 4th, again, if you can, in your businesses or even in your families, if you can delegate it, the message to somebody else, when you can ask yourself if there's somebody else who could or should be acting on this other than yourselves. If there can be done, let's see if you can get somebody else to do it. So winding our time together here, I want to leave you with a couple of lists. First are kind of 7 thoughts, and then we'll go into 7 action plans that we can do before we open this up to some Q&A. I want to leave you with 7 thoughts to think about as you approach the new year in your new time management self-image. The first is that your self-image determines your performance. This is critical to Brian Tracy's practice and what we preach at Focal Point. And practice visualizing and imagining yourself as you want to be, not as you have been in the past. And you can change your self-image permanently by repeatedly visualizing yourself as highly effective and efficient as it comes to time. And a lot of athletes do this all the time. They visualize their next shot, their next stroke. Second, remember that any new habit or pattern, whatever it is, weight loss or whatever, takes about 21 days of practice and repetition to take root. So if it's taken you your entire life to become the person you are today, good and bad habits and all, you have, it takes time. Be patient. Don't expect change to happen all at once. Third, promise yourself that you're going to become excellent at time management. Promise yourself that you're going to be punctual and you're going to be concentrating on your most important tasks, going back to our goals and our priorities. Make time for your kid's soccer game if that's a priority to you. Then promise others that you're going to be more effective and efficient in the future, and that reliance will cause you to think of them when you're planning. Fourth, in developing the habits of time management, start in just one area where maybe poor time management is holding you back. In other words, don't try to change everything at once. Just change one habit or activity where you know that improvement could be helpful to you. And as you discipline yourself in a single area, you'll find yourself becoming more productive in other areas of the time. It bleeds out. Number 5, launch strongly. Start strongly. Here we are at the beginning of a new year. So if you decide to be punctual for every appointment, discipline yourself to be early every time until the new habit of punctuality becomes a permanent part of your behavior. I know we're here in Fairfield County. Plan for traffic on the Merritt. You know it's going to happen, so plan for it. 6 is use trial and success. Not trial and error, but trial and success method requires that you learn how to succeed by failing and then learning from your mistakes. Think about the reasons for your poor time management and take a step back and look at the areas in your life where time is more poorly managed. Is it business? Is it personal? And ask yourself, why do I behave in this area? Seventh thought area, and perhaps the most important of all, is for you to be absolutely confident that you can and will become outstanding at time management. You know, Brian Tracy talks about the law of belief, and your beliefs become your realities. And I believe that is true. And the last area is I can't leave anything without talking about action. And just as we wrap up our time together, I want to leave you with 7 action steps to take to become more effective at time management and be more productive at work and make more money at your work. The first is, this is a time for resolution, resolving that you're going to become excellent. We talked about this. And thinking through and working exclusively on your top priority tasks, 80-20. Never allow exception until this becomes a habit. Number 2 is determine your KRAs, your personal area of excellence, and fully understand your responsibilities, both in business and your personal life, the activities where you make the greatest contribution to your business and to your family. Third, 80-20 rule, be part of every part of your business and personal life, identifying that top 20%. Number 4, think about the consequences of not doing or not doing a task. If you separate the urgent from the important and spending more time doing those things is going to have a major impact on your future. Number 5, the to-do list. Make a list of activities each day before you begin work and set careful methods of prioritizing your list. Talked about the 80-20 rule, talked about the ABCDE method, the urgent and important matrices to each one before starting, and always work on your A1 tasks first. Number 6, our old friend, we live with it all our lives, be conscious of and overcome procrastination. The ability to overcome procrastination and tackle the most important tasks are really the hallmark of the most successful people in the world. And 7th is every hour of the day, kind of catch yourself throughout the day thinking, what's the most valuable use of my time right now? Is this the most valuable use of my time or not? Or should I be doing something on my A1 list or my B1 list or whatever it is? And whatever the answer is, be sure that you're working on that one task and that one thing that can make a greater difference than anything else. So as we conclude and go to some Q&A, I just want to say that, conclude by saying time management is your key for personal effectiveness and how you feel about yourself and self-respect and for greater personal and professional productivity. And with the right time management, you can overcome any obstacle, achieve any goal. And thank you for the time today, for investing in yourself today. I know there's a lot here. We can share the deck. And for other further conversation, my email and phone number is there. I'd be happy to have a conversation about time management or goal setting or any other things we touched on. So with that, we're at 12:43 for time management, and we can talk about if anyone has some key questions. And Alan, you might want to see some questions there that we can talk about.
Thank you, John. We'll now use the remaining time for Q&A. We will take as many as possible up until 1 o'clock, so please submit them via the chat feature in the lower left portion of your screen. The first question we have from Bud is, what if your success is dependent upon someone else's time and their time management?
That's a great point. You know, sometimes you can't control all your time. If you have a boss, your boss wants you to do something. But it goes back to one of the previous slides on KRAs. It's what is my role on the payroll and what does my boss want me to do? And it's worth a conversation with your boss if he or she has an impact on your time, and get aligned on what the key aspects of their expectations of your time are. There are things you can always control, whether you have your own company or not. There's customers, there are prospects, there's spouses that have impacts on how we spend our time.
All right. We have another question from Gary. I suppose the principles of personal time management also apply to managing your company and its people.
Totally. We think of our lives as, our work life, our personal life, and, it's really, again, the same democratic small d, 24 hours in a day. And how do we spend that time? And I think of goals in four key areas. There's business success that I'd like to achieve. There's the financial results I'd like to see come out of that. There's health and wellness. It doesn't do you any good if we're not well to accomplish those goals, and family and relationships. So they all kind of bleed into one another, but all can be accomplished with proper time management and goal setting and the priorities of those goal setting. I have a question for the group. Oh, KRAs from Stephanie. It's key result areas. In the deck, there's a couple of worksheets they can use in the deck. Or what are the key results areas that you want from various aspects of your life, from your job, from your personal relationships, from your hobbies even? What do you want to get out of it, which would impact how you spend your time to put into those goals?
Okay, we have one from Lori, and she's asking if this is recorded and able to share. Yes, it is. It'll be posted on our website in a few days, fairfieldcountyscore.org. Along with all the other workshops that we'll be presenting in the Fairfield County area at the libraries in the evenings. Next, we have one from Daniel, and are the slides and recordings available same after this training? Yes, we do have that posted on the website. Jacqueline, can you send a copy of this presentation? Same answer. Yes, it is, and it'll be available on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org.
Question from Demetrios. Can you please explain the 80-20 rule again? Sure. Again, it's the Pareto principle. It's written about a lot. It's just kind of the shorthand is the 80-20 rule, and the concept is 20% of what you will do accounts for 80% of the value of all the things that you do. So they formulated by some economist in the late 1800s that postulated that society could be divided into two groups of people. The first group, 20%, called the vital few, they controlled 80% of the wealth. The other 80% he called the trivial many, that controlled 20% of the wealth. So the key is, before you start doing anything, is what I'm going to do among the top 20% of the activities that account for 80% of the value of everything that I do. It applies in a lot of areas. A lot of the fundraising, of 80% of the fundraising is donated by 20% of the people. It's focusing 80% of your time on the 20% that's going to yield the greatest results. Is the shorthand answer to that.
Okay, we have another one from. It's when previous errors that had mediation clearance repeat, then it becomes a 6-year, and why? What's the point? What does it solve? And don't people see it in the drawback here?
I'm not sure of the question.
Can you please reframe that question? Why is immigration not just saying we know it's immigration? Fielded from.
I'm going to tackle Demetrios' follow-up question. How does one identify what the 80%, 20% is? You do. You determine what the most important areas are, and you determine how you spend your time on the most important things. If you're a salesperson in the company, well, 80% of your time should be spent on delivering the 20% that's going to yield the greatest results for your
Okay, we have a few minutes for any other questions, but while we're waiting for that, just as a reminder, the recording and webinar and the materials will be available within a couple of days on fairfieldcounty.score.org website. You can also request a free individual business counseling at our website. And our next webinar will be Tuesday, January 23rd. The topic is Balanced Marketing, Marketing Online, and Building Personal Relationships, with Bud Furin and Bob Hogan presenting. On behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's live webinar, and please fill out your evaluations that have been sent to you via email. In closing, I just want to thank John for a wonderful presentation today, and everyone have a nice day. Thank you, everyone.